Hey everyone, I'm back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about the custom Season 1 style Thomas I made in N-Scale a year ago, which used the Bachmann Thomas as a base. All the way back when the first prototype of Thomas was shown, I thought it had a lot of potential to make a decent small-scale model of Thomas as seen in the early seasons of the show. Once the N-Scale range was released and I was able to buy Thomas, I measured him up and found that the model very closely follows the original model in terms of overall size, with Thomas's measurements being a scale 22 feet long, 12 feet tall, and 8 feet wide as per the Season 3 reference sheets. I should also mention that this is the case when using 1 to 148 British N-Scale ratios. I was actually pretty happy with the base model and initially only changed the face. However, I ultimately decided it would be better to go further and base Thomas completely on his appearance in Season 1. The biggest change I needed to make was to Thomas's running plate. The CGI model has sharper corners around the buffer beams rather than the curves that Thomas had in Season 1. Additionally, Thomas also had larger steps leading into the cab, so I needed to make those as well. To do this, I learned how to design 3D models on Tinkercad and designed a new running plate to fit on the model in place of the old one. I also designed a new cab piece with slightly lower front windows and no molded whistles so that I could make them separate pieces. Once they were designed, I sent the files over to Tom T. Legend on Twitter to be printed. With that done, I got to work on the pieces of the model that I did have. I resprayed Thomas's body and wheels with Tamiya French Blue and repainted Thomas's smokebox black. After that, I painted the yellow lining around the windows, which was difficult and took a few tries to get it mostly straight. For the red lining, I used water slide transfers I found on eBay and got everything done except the boiler and splashers. Fairly soon after that, the 3D printed parts arrived, and once I checked that they fit Thomas well, I began work on the running plate. I added coupling hooks to the front and back and put the buffers on. However, the buffers were actually really difficult to do. On the original model, the buffers are glued into place, and because the pieces are tiny, the glue bond is too strong to be broken without ruining the buffers. What I had to do was to get some tiny drill bits and drill the buffers out from the back, then insert brass wire into the hole so that I could glue them onto the new running plate. After that was done, I gave the running plate a coat of primer, then sprayed the steps blue and painted the sides red. I also painted the top of the running plate grey and painted the black parts. The cab was also painted around this point, and I put the model together to see how it looked so far. As you can see, I made pretty good progress up to this point, and this is where things went kind of wrong. I tried to apply the lining over the top of the boiler, but the physical bands made it really hard to get the lining to go on the model properly. After a few tries, I accepted that I would have to sand the boiler smooth and try again. I did that, then repainted Thomas in blue again, then painted the smokebox black again as well. I didn't want to try to do the yellow lining so soon, so I added the lamp irons, and brake pipes to the running plate instead. At this point, the project stalled for a few months because I lost my motivation. I also kept looking at the blue and thinking it looked too dark and natural lining, and I also didn't like the way the cab turned out. After a while, I decided to order a new body shell from Bachmann's parts store and used that instead. I sanded the original rear lamp off because it was in the way of the rear lining, and then I repainted the back of Thomas's bunker with Vallejo Deep Sky Blue, which is pretty close to the blue Bachmann used. I applied the black back lining again, and then repainted the cab steps to a lighter blue color. Since the project had stalled for so long, I needed to repaint the buffers, and I decided to change the front coupling hook for one with the chain molded into it. After taking one of the lamps from my Toby model, Thomas was finally ready to be put together. Here are some pictures showing his completed look, and some size comparisons with other objects to give a sense of scale. After a couple months, I also made a removable snowplow for Thomas, using a design made by Noah at the LVSC Thomas, which was again printed by Tom T. Legend. Since this was my first real modeling project I've done, I'm really happy with how it went, and I feel like I learned a lot of things along the way. I don't have this Thomas anymore since I'm planning to make a new one based on Season 3, but I hope you all thought he was cool too. Enjoy this short montage of pictures and running footage of the completed model. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.